Hello, everyone, and welcome into podcast number 35 of the Tiger Sports Live Stream Network podcast. Blake Walker here, my dad, Dan Walker, alongside of me. We got an interesting podcast today. We are currently broadcasting in the middle of a JV basketball game. This is a rescheduled game from way back on the 24th of January. Grinnell and Oskaloosa were supposed to play. It was supposed to be Hoops for Hope night. The boys got moved to like the 18th of February, something like that, or next week or something.
Yeah, 18th February.
Yep, the girls got moved to tonight, so JV's going on right now. Grinnell's winning with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The varsity girls take off tonight at 6 o'clock. The reason we're doing it like this is because we have a special guest coming in here in a little bit. Chad Beck is going to come up here and sit and talk with us. We put out a poll on our Twitter of who everyone wanted to see get in or for us to interview. We gave you Travis Smith, Trent Edson, Brandon Sharp, and Chad Beck, and Chad won by an overwhelming amount. So we are going to interview Chad Beck. Big milestones. He hit his 300th victory just a couple weeks ago. His son Brock just passed his other son Brody in wins. So there's a lot going on in Coach Beck's life, and we want to talk to him about it. We've yet to talk to him about it in a while, but now that we do wrestling as part of our, live stream, we decided to jump into it. So do we want to jump into commercials and then move on with what we got, or do we want to jump right in and see what?
Let's jump over, and again, this is our first time that we actually done a live podcast. This is something that we're looking forward to doing a few more of those as we go. So if you find we're not looking at the cameras because we're looking at other things, as you can see here, Blake has different monitors in front of him. We got different cameras that we set up for our live streaming. This is the basic set right in front of me that runs the heart of the whole program, so sometimes we get a little bit distracted, but let's go to our commercials, and we'll be right back in a few minutes.
Hey there, I'm Joey Pollyi, third-generation owner of Pollyi's in Grinnell. Since 1957, we've been serving you the flavors you savor. Dine in, carry out, or pick up our frozen pizzas for a night in. Our promise to you? Everything is made from scratch, and we only use the freshest ingredients, guaranteed. Plus, get your kids signed up for our Pags Pals program to get free pizza and shirts. Visit pollyi'sgrinnellia.com or ask your server how to sign up. See you soon at Pollyi's Pizza Grinnell on 5th Ave between Main and Broad Street.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to a Grinnell Mutual agent today.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Tiger Live Stream Network podcast, episode number 35. I guess we're going to go over recaps while we wait for what's been going on. So I have quick stats pulled over here on my monitor over here. That's why you'll see me looking over here. So we want to start with Dallas Center Grimes.
Yep, Dallas Center Grimes.
So we'll start with the girls. They traveled to Dallas Center Grimes on Friday, January 31st, and got a win 73-62. Dallas Center Grimes at the time was the number 3 ranked team in the Little Hawkeye Conference. Grinnell pretty much led most of the game. Anytime that DCG came close, it was a lot of trading baskets. Overall, I'd say it was a pretty good game. DCG, Grinnell was up by quite a bit, and then DCG started hitting their threes in the second half, but I'm pretty satisfied with a win like that.
Yeah, DCG kind of worked back out of the hole a little bit, and it was a competitive ball game to watch. And I think the crowd kind of was a little bit entertaining from the Dallas Center Grimes side. The coach, of course, it always has to figure out and say, hey, that's a bad call, whatever, but we sit right behind the scores bench, so we had the full life of the entertainment of the officials saying, no, coach, it wasn't that, or yes, coach, it was that. So it was a really good ball game to watch. And, again, we've seen it more and more that as we play these 3 and 4 nights in a row, that these girls are just showing a lot of fatigue. However, the Dallas Center Grimes game, they come out with fire. And I think if you go back and look at box scores, I think they jumped out to an 18-point lead at one point. And, just they worked really well together. And I think it was a pleasing ball game as Coach Edson walked off the floor saying that, it's the end of the week. Let's finally be done with this. And luckily they got to go home and take a break, and the boys had to turn right around and go back to a ball game on Saturday at lunchtime. So that's the misfortune of that. But
then we go to the boys' side, and it was a struggle. Dallas Center Grimes got the victory, 53-35. Grinnell actually outscored Dallas Center Grimes by a lot in the third quarter, but it was just not enough. DCG was able to overpower Grinnell. One of those learning games, one of those games that you probably want to forget about, and that's just kind of how it goes for that. And then the next you have swimming results.
Yep, next the boys swimming team that is actually having a very good year on the swimming side of it. They went to Coe College for a conference meet, and they finished up with second place out of 9 teams. So that was a very good. Their second place points were 354, runner-up to Decorah. A couple notes here from Coach Smith in the 200 medley, but that was Heischman, Knudsen, Wilson, and Rasmussen. They dropped 5 seconds off their personal best in the 200 free relay with Rasmussen, Wilson, Strasser, Smith. They are the conference champs, so good job to that group of boys. Dropped almost 3 seconds and dominated the competition. The 400 free relay with Rasmussen, Wilson, Strasser, and Smith, they were conference runner-ups, dropping a whopping 7 seconds. So they really did some work out there and made some performances. Individual podium finishers were in the 200 free with Cody Blaine at 4th place. In the 200 IM, Mads Knudsen with 6th place. So congratulations to those two. In the 50 free, Trent Rasmussen with the 4th place. Alex Smith also came in at the 5th place. And in the 100 free, Alex Smith was runner-up, and Ty Strasser with the 4th place. Going to page number 2 here in the 500 free, Cody Blaine with the 5th place. In the 100 back was Caden Heischman with a 5th place. In the 100 breast was Mads Knudsen with a 6th place. So that was the end of the conference meet there, and then they all travel on to Johnston for the state qualifying meet next. So that was the swimming results, and they've had a really good job out there on that and doing a strong side.
Another thing was Grinnell went to Wells Fargo Arena, and they lost to Mount Vernon. It was a one-off Saturday game, and one of those games that you want to forget despite going to the well. Coach, welcome in. Take a seat. Let's see if we can scoot in here a little bit. We got your headset right here.
It'll fit right over it.
Pull this down. There you go.
You should be able to hear us. Can you hear us?
Yep. All right.
Okay.
So we'll put this on a hiatus while we talk. So this is Coach Chad Beck. Coach, yeah, you can set that wherever. Thanks for joining us. This isn't our normal podcast location, but
actually, I was standing over there waiting for you.
I
didn't know where you were.
And we will say this is the first time we've done a live video podcast.
Yeah.
All of them we thought, your good lucks, we'll put you on the video here so everyone can see who our wrestling coach is.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we'll start off with congratulations on 300 victories. That's amazing. I mean, the milestone that is. Give a little bit of a background, how long you've been here and what it took to get those 300 victories.
Well, if you go clear back to when I got out of college, I came back and started coaching at the middle school. I was a head coach at the middle school for 5 years, then came to the high school for 2 years as Mike Allen's assistant, and then took over the program, I think, in 98-99 season. That year we were 1-20. And years ago, the maintenance guy here at school, Larry Ellis, he said, how long is it going to take to get a winning team? And I said, we're struggling right now. We don't fill all the weights, but we'll get it. I said, it'll probably take 5 years. And it actually turned out to be 5 years before we had a winning season. And it was kind of a joke amongst the coaches that we wrestled against that I said, I got 100 losses long before I got 100 wins. And I mean years before I got 100 wins. So, but I think after that 5th season, we've never had a losing season. There was one season where we finished 500, but after that, we've always had a winning season. So, it took a while, but now we've got it there, and we're competing,
You know, there's
fairly well all the time.
There's a lot of, seems like Grinnell has a lot of students that go to college, come back and coach within the program. For yourself, you were a very good wrestler. To come back into a program and then first step on the mat, we'll jump past the middle school. Those are all recognized years, but your first year as a varsity coach, what was that feeling like that it was only so long ago that I was stepping out here wrestling? And some of those coaches you may have wrestled were still coaching. And
Sure.
probably some maybe still are.
Not
some
so
might
much
be
now.
retired. But as you started, there's like, I wrestled against a kid that he coached.
Right.
How was that feeling of just like, I am a young guy here, what respect am I going to get?
Yeah, and I'm sure early on, you probably didn't get a whole lot of respect, especially when we were 1-20, and then we were 3-17 or 3-19, I think, and then we went 5-17. So as we kept getting better, then you got more respect in the conference, more respect in all your matches that you went out in, and then it become apparent that we were going to compete it all the time. And there's been some years where we've had to forfeit some weights, but for the most part, we've been able to fill most of the weight classes for the last 15 years. That first year it was tough because Grinnell went to state in football. I think we were in the championship game. I think it was the year we took second. So we had a lot of guys on our team that were just beat up from playing in the dome. And the story I tell that year that Dan Kyle was our heavyweight. And he says, Coach, he said, my knee just hurts. I don't know if I can do it. He said, I don't know if I can wrestle. I think I'm going to hang it up. I said, Dan, quit. Wait till Christmas. We'll start wrestling at Christmas. He went on to take 6th place in the state that year. So it was just one of them deals where, sometimes when football season goes real deep into, and actually wrestling had started and they were still playing football. So, but, give him some time off. He got back in and made things work.
We'll say coaching, but what do you think over those years of that first 5 years? Was it just trying to learn something new, or was it something they were lacking prior to
I think a lot
start
of it? No, I think a lot of it had to do with we just needed numbers. We had to get more kids involved in the program. That's where we took over the kids program and we did it our way. We didn't have someone else running it. We just came in. We got to get kids started when they're young. So I think that first year we were telling the story earlier today, it was $13 a kid to wrestle for 3 months. We just had to get kids in here. So we got them in. And then, when you follow a winning program, it's more fun than to follow a losing program.
Right.
So as we started winning, more kids wanted to be involved. So, we were able to get involvement. And then when you get involvement, then another big guy that contributed to our wins was Lim Prim. Lim was a state champ and a state runner-up for us in 91. Mike Allen coached him. Went on to be I believe a 2-time NCAA runner-up in the Division II level, and came back and coached for about 5 years and really brought back a competitiveness that kids wanted to be involved with. And he kind of, at that time, worked with our off-season program, lifting weights, going to freestyle tournaments, and he just loved it. He still wrestles today. He was competing a year ago in the senior nationals, so I think he's probably 46, 47 now, and he competed in the senior nationals a year or two ago. So, but he helped bring that up also. So, then we just kind of got into the expectations. We don't expect to lose; we expect to win at all times. So kids got to work to maintain that, and it just kind of fell in order.
Well, it seems like as of the last two or 3 years that I've kind of gone back and forth and watching that it's not necessarily that you have juniors and seniors that are good, but it seems like you're picking more and more freshmen. When they start as a freshman, they must have a good base when they're coming out of the middle school, because you're getting quite a bit of talent coming right in their freshman year that they're not getting just thrown all over the mat. They're actually performing.
Right. Yeah, we've had
and
we've had quite a few
probably
freshmen.
goes back to that kids that you're starting out early.
And right now actually we're spending a lot of time with our middle schoolers right now, just because if you look at our program, we're going to lose at our starting lineup. We're going to lose 120, 126, 132 with seniors, and then you're going to have Landon Kirby, who he won't see the flip side of 152 next year. He's growing. He's struggling to keep his weight where he's at. Next year, I look for him to be 152 or 160 pounds. So you got 4 weight classes that have to be filled, and it's going to be the young kids, So we're putting our time in with them right now, trying to get them ready for their AAU districts that are on schedule for Sunday this week in Washington, Iowa. So just talk to them about, even if you get beat out, still come, still work out, still practice, a couple days a week. It's not like you're in your competitive season year round, but if we can get 6 or 8 more weeks of 2 days a week, it'll help those kids get ready for coming in as freshmen.
Right. Now with having a son in basketball and being around a lot of the football players and Coach Sauser, it's always the talk of what happens off season. Is wrestling, I'm not saying intense, but is wrestling a demanding sport as an off-season sport like these other sports do?
Yes. And to the point that if you don't do something in the off season, you're going to be behind, because they have what they call the freestyle season, which is the Olympic wrestling, and it runs until mid-May for the state tournament. And then if you happen to place in the top 4, you get to go out to Fargo, North Dakota for the nationals. You get on the Iowa team and go out. And we haven't had, Cam Stevenson was our last competitor 2 years ago. He qualified for that. But the last year, we didn't really push tournaments. We just pushed the workouts. We only went as a team probably to 2 or 3 off-season tournaments, but we practiced. Central College hosted every Monday night and open to whoever wants to come. So we'd go down there. Then us and Newton and Pella on Wednesday night would rotate hosting. So you got to wrestle someone new, twice a week.
But be competitive.
Be competitive and fun. It's not, no score, just practice, technique sessions, and work out hard. And I really think a lot of our kids gained from that experience. Just mat time. And we've got some kids now that need that. And obviously we'll wait till the season's over to start pushing that on them. But, one thing we do is we don't do that until track practice is over. So it's in the evening at 6 o'clock, or golf or soccer, whichever they're in. Some out for tennis. So it's something that we try to stay away from other sports and then come in afterwards and, maybe wrestle for an hour a day. And, like I said, you almost have to have it to be competitive.
It's incredible. It seems like the sports are becoming a full-time sport.
Basically, it is. These kids are getting pushed. They're getting pulled every direction. Everybody wants them in the weight room for football. They want them. Baseball, I think, starts throwing Sunday.
Yeah.
And obviously we're not done yet. And the coaches, Coach Stenberg understands that, he's got a couple varsity ball players that are wrestling right now and he understands, he knows. I said, if they want to come, hang out with the guys, be part of it, great. But, we really don't want them out there doing things that might, throw their back out or something else that they're, something different than they're used to doing right now this time of year.
Well, Blake, he talked a couple of your personal milestones, but let's talk about the milestones of coaching your 2 boys and having them hit milestones within their own careers. And then to add to that, you've had other wrestlers. Eli Rose, one of the latest ones to hit 100 wins. Mm-hmm. 300 wins for yourself as a coach is one thing, but to coach kids that hit these milestones of 100 and now hitting 100, is it 168 or Brock is, I guess the record breaking Brody's record was 168, but he's had 2 or 3 wins since then.
Yeah, Brody was 166, and Brock I think is at 170 right now.
We're interrupted by a really loud music. Let's turn that down.
I think Brock's either at 168 or 170. 170. Yep. So, it's always fun that, when kids hit that milestone, whether it's 100 or 150 or, even some of them just to get to 50, Brody set the record a few years ago, and Ryan Matherly had it 4 years before him. Every year we're getting guys getting more and more wins. It just helps build your program, I think. Obviously when Brock broke Brody's record, he'd been telling him for a while he's going to, and there's certain people that kind of, tease them both about it. But, if somebody's going to break your record, you want it to be your brother.
Right.
It's just the way it is. Brock, was 4-year starter. So was Brody. Brody wrestled in the state tournament 3 times, medaled once. Brock's been there 3 times, medaled all 3 times. So, but in Brock's defense, Brody went into state 1 year at 50-1. Brock has never went into state more than 42 matches. So, you know, it depends on the schedule. We had some snow outs this year. Had 9 or 10 matches snowed out this year, you know, with 2 tournaments. So, just the way it goes.
Well, I tell you, it seems like through again, social media, it puts a lot of hype and it makes people focus back into your wrestling program. And what was kind of neat is that's what spurred a lot of it. Said, well, how come you guys can't live stream that? Because we want to see what they're doing. We see stats, we see that. And it turned out your 2 wrestling meets brought in almost as much as some of the better basketball games this year.
Oh, yeah, you know, and
people like it. They want to see it.
There's been nights that we've had some pretty good crowds, you know. Yeah. A lot of people show up, and sometimes you have to promote that with youth night, you know, parents' night, obviously, which there was only 3 seniors and a couple senior cheerleaders. But in all, the student body does a good job, I think, of supporting everybody, you know, and you know, you always see a good crowd of students at basketball games, you see a good crowd of students at the wrestling meets. You know, again, kids are busy, but yet they want to come out and support. And we've had a good fan base as far as just the general public.
Yeah, I was amazed. And, you know, to sit down and look at that triangular for one, this place was packed. Yeah. I mean, both sides completely filled up. And now, granted, there's 3 teams, but even after 1 team left, there were still quite a few people here till the end. So that was pretty impressive.
Do you think that high school coaching wrestling in the state of Iowa is probably the hardest out of any state because Iowa is wrestling?
Well, it is, but, you know, Pennsylvania's really coming on strong, you know, with Cale being out there, and everything's just come to another level, I think. And Pennsylvania has been coming on for years. But, yeah, it's, you know, obviously we're looked at as one of the best states in the nation for wrestling. So, you know, coaching-wise, I think you're just, you know, you kind of get used to what you're doing and what it takes to win. And, you know, and I think really in the last, well, I suppose when Brody's class was about sophomores, we just really got to where we just pushed kids harder. And, you know, we didn't break them, but yet they understood that they could work harder and harder every day and get better, and, you know, and it wasn't going to bother them.
Right.
You know, so you were able to ask more and get more out of kids and just push them to more limits than they were used to. And, you know, I think that year, I think Brody's senior year, which would have been 14, I think we were 22-3. Wow. So, you know, we had a good class. And those are kids that worked hard. You know, over the years, quite a few state medals in there. Jared Keenan, Anthony Clayton, Julio Sanchez, Garrett J., Brody. You know, so I'm sure we missed a couple. Jack Leshin was a year older than those guys. But, you know, we could really push. And I think the younger kids learn to work watching those older kids. You know, those guys had success, and the young kids saw it and learned they had to work harder to reach those goals.
So, speaking of success, a couple of big weeks coming up here for the wrestling team as things starting to wind down. What is the end of the year outlook look like?
Well, we go to Carlisle Saturday. It's not the easiest draw. We've got guys that have very good records that will be 2 and 3 seeds in the sectional tournament. I think we have, you know, a couple probably potential number 1 seeds. I would say Brock and Eli and Cam have the best shot for number 1 seeds. For a sectional tournament, there's only 6 teams on our sectionals. It's an 8-man bracket, and then top 2 guys get by. So, you know, you're already 1 step closer. You have to get first or second to advance to districts. And then districts is the following week at Knoxville. And then we pick up another sectional that comes in. And there's 4 guys, and you got to finish top 2 to advance state. So a lot of the weights that we're at, there's a lot of ranked kids coming in. So, you know, we're going to go in, we're going to battle, and hopefully we'll come out on top. You know, we're used to it. We've had to do it before, but it just, it's one of them years where you really think you got a good chances with quite a few guys, and then you got the district that we got.
Right.
So, you know, you got to be ready, and, you know, quite honest, I just want to be healthy. They're talking about all this influenza B going around the school right now.
Yeah,
and
both basketball team and the girls and boys both lost kids out. So.
Right. So far, we're okay, but, told the guys, get showered up, go home, relax, rest, don't come back. I mean, come support your team, but don't get in the crowd, stay away. I don't know what, you just got to stay away from people right now. So.
Well, what is, so after, is your dual competition after state or is that before state?
Actually, they do the team duels the day before the traditional tournament at Wells Fargo. They used to do it the week after in Cedar Rapids, but now they do it the day before. So on Wednesday, team duels, and realistically, we're probably not a dual competitor this year. You have to take first or second as a team at sectionals to advance to regionals on Tuesday night.
Oh, okay.
So, and I see us as a possible second place finisher, but realistic, we're second or third, I think, on paper. Just on based on what other schools have for individuals.
All right. Well, we're kind of winding down out of time, so you're saved by the bell a little bit, but we just want to thank you very much for coming up here.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciated the feedback, and Dave Kaizen did us well to help us out with the wrestling meet.
Yeah, so next year maybe we can figure something out, and maybe get you some more information up front about possible tournaments that kids had won during the year or something that have something else to say about them. So
we plan on doing most of them.
Yeah, I mean, typically we only get 2 or 3 home meets, besides our tournament, but so it'll be fun.
Well, and to go back and see that they were pretty much scheduled and nothing was going on. Our home meets on the Grinnell calendar, no other event was going on, so we got lucky there.
Yeah, good. That helps your crowd. Yep.
So, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Yep, thank you.
All right, well, we're kind of running short here on time ourselves.
We are running short on our podcast time, but just wanted to quickly state for everyone that was watching the podcast, just the quick big news that came out today. District 6 is where Grinnell sits in the new 3A football season, along with Xavier, Oskaloosa, Newton, Benton, and Clear Creek, Amana. That was the big news that came out of sports today. I wanted to fit that in. So thanks to Coach Beck for coming down and talking to us. And we got to get set for the basketball game coming up here in a little bit. So thank you for listening to the Tiger Sports Live Stream Network podcast, and we will see you next week.